All right, everybody. Welcome to the episode of Unlocking Wealth, where we explore the strategies, the tools, and the mindset shifts that help everyday people build extraordinary financial futures. Today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood and overlooked paths to financial freedom: stock options. Most people hear the word options and immediately think risky, complicated, not for me, gambling. But my guest today is here to change all of that. Eddie Fontaine is a lifelong educator turned stock trader instructor who specializes in making the complex simple. With over 15 years in education and a sharp background in analysts, Eddie has helped countless students gain the confidence to navigate the markets responsibly and discovered how options can be a powerful tool for wealth building. Here's what others are saying. Eddie makes stock trading simple and approachable, and I finally feel confident in the markets. His teaching style is clear, patient, and empowering, and I've learned more in weeks than I did in years on my own. Eddie genuinely cares about his students' success. He's not just teaching trading, he's teaching financial independence, game changer. On this podcast, we'll unlock and unpack the myths, explore real stories, success stories, and break down how you can start using stock options to create financial independence. And stick around to the end. We've got an insider question that'll let you see another side of Eddie. You won't want to miss this. So let's get started. Eddie, welcome to Nursing in Style Podcast, where we come and talk about the lifestyle, the life level up for nurses and others. I'm so grateful to know you. I am so grateful that you're taking this time to be on the podcast. I'm so grateful that you came into my life to tell me more about options because I had no idea. And my first response was, well, wait a minute, this gambling. Wait a minute. And you basically was like, no, you got to understand a little bit more about this. And if it's gambling, why are so many people doing it? Why are so many people getting started on that? So let's come in a little bit more and tell me a little bit deeper about your background and how did you decide to get into this stock? Tell me a little bit about your story and understanding stocks.
Well, I was working in education, as you spoke, and as you recently mentioned, and working in education, you have these. You're thinking you max out at some point. And you ask yourself, I start asking myself, like, is this my end goal, right? Is there more room for me to grow? Well, the political world of it always kicks in, and then you have to fight these hurdles. And then you start realizing that you've been on this road for so long, and then you just see people dropping off who never get an opportunity to get to their invested money, their 401k or their retirement. And so that becomes, then you got to start asking yourself, is that going to be me? So I started doing some digging myself, and I wanted to have the opportunity. When you see these guys who are in the NFL or these guys who give people their money, and then they go broke after 5 years. Mm-hmm. So you ask these questions. So I just started digging, and all I can remember is I ran across this guy on my Facebook page, and he was saying, you want to make money, you want a financial freedom. Boom. And I had somebody that I was in grad school with. And I said, you know this guy? And he said, yeah. I said, he legit? And they said, yeah. So I took his class. Guy introduced me to it. He said, man, I'm on my way to New Orleans if you want to meet up. So we met on Washington and Magazine at the coffee shop. I said, man, I'm sold. I'm in. Took the class, and I've never turned back. That's been years ago. And so right around 2020 during COVID, I used to be in this group. And the group was like, man, bro, you need to start teaching this stuff. And I took 2 people out that class, that group, because it was like right around Christmas time. And I just started giving plays out, right? And I was just saying, Merry Christmas. Show me your Christmas tree. Show me the gifts. This is a blessing from me. and they were like, man, I want you to teach me. And those two of those people out that group became my first students, and I'm in class 35 right now.
That is super duper exciting. You know, the attraction for me coming into your program when you contacted me that day, I'll never forget. I want to say it was a Sunday. And you asked me about it. And I was like, yeah, I understand. I get stocks, right? And you was like, no, I'm talking about options. I was like, I'm not quite sure what you mean by options, but I'm so curious on this pathway in my life. I am interested in learning more. And as you begin to break that down, I was like, wait a minute. Why other people are not doing this? So, you know, what's happening? But it is that teaching style. It's that way that you have where you break it down. I like the way that you break down options when you talk about it's like buying houses. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because the way you do that, that's the connection point.
So what people normally hear is when they hear options, they get scared, or they get told from somebody else who never took options, or what they did was during COVID, they bought it, they came in on the back end and they were burned, right? And so that becomes a bad taste in your mouth, right? So I just try to break it down. I try to meet the students or meet the people where they at, right? And I simplify it to buying a house, right? If you buy a house for a lower price, the same thing as buying option. You sell it at a higher price, right? You're the buyer first, and then you become the seller second, right? And so the technique I use things that people can relate to. So when you're using these things, people can relate to. If you purchased a house before, then you understand that you're buying something at a lower price as an investor, and you're selling it at a different price, at a higher price to get profit.
I like that analogy that you do. So when we think about stocks, a lot of people buy stocks and they want to hold it for long term, right? They just ride the waves. That's what they're told. But when we think about options being one of the overlooked strategy, why options? What's the difference in stocks versus options?
Well, options take so long to generate an income for you because you got to spend so much to get so much at a longer term. Options is a little bit different, right? So each contract is worth 100 shares, and it gives you multiples of what you're buying and your return. Your RTI is a shorter investment. So you get more in a shorter time, right? So it's almost like when you're building your portfolio. If you bought Amazon at a certain time we didn't know when because when Amazon came out as a reader, right? So we didn't know back then. When I was looking at the newspaper back then, I was looking at stocks on the back of a paper, not knowing that today that I would be in the stock market or watching this on my phone, doing this actual stock market exchange, reading the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ. So now that we're here, we're in the present, understand that options give you more of a return than the stocks will. Stocks gonna move at a dollar value. Options gonna move in multiples.
Yeah, see that 100-time factor, that moment right there, you gave out a play in the class, and my account wasn't ready for options yet, so I bought stocks. And you was like, that play just hit, and I was like, yeah, but I got like $4. Everybody else got like 400, 4,000. I bought a stock. That's one, right? So that moved up. You only do it multiplied by one.
Absolutely.
Like, wait a minute. My paper money over here is getting down, and my other money is just barely stock. So these options for me has become super exciting when you understand how to study it, because there are people that get into these options, you're beginners, that can be scared, or people can get in here, get too excited. Like you said, they trading with emotions, and you can lose it all. So what's your advice to those that want to start learning more about options? What would you tell a beginner?
Well, find a good coach. I think that's important. Find a good person that could lead you down the right path, right? And I think for the most part is assimilate everything in the class, right? It's just like I think we was in a play and I called CV outside on Thursday. And then here you come the next day, you like, wow, I'm impressed, right? And the first thing you say, well, I want to see what you seen. Where the news at? So assimilate it by giving you hope, by giving you understanding, so you can understand this is real, right? This is where it's at, right? Most people won't tell you that because they can't simulate it. I'm simulating it for you so you can see the possibilities.
Yeah, but when you be simulating and you ain't on that train when you simulate, boy, you show me left. Right? You just while sitting up there waiting and them thousands them pass by. I'm like, well, what just happened? Did you just score $1,500 in that moment? Just sitting here. And so the way that you can take a company, because you wake up early, let's talk about that wake up early moment, right? So you always hear and see wealthy people, they are always up early. And I
Absolutely.
never really understood that. So I had a student say, "Hey, Danielle, I'm gonna start waking up at 5 in the morning." I said, "If you're gonna wake up, you better wake up with purpose. Don't be
Absolutely.
waking up just to be up. Like, what you gonna be up doing?" And so
Right.
since I've been in your class, I'm up early now because I want to see what you seeing. I want to hear what you hearing because you have a way of looking at the news and hearing something totally different than what everybody else hearing. While everybody else is running around panicking, you're like, no, 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 pay attention to that. See what's going
Right.
on the operating table over there. See what happened with that
Mhm.
company, that fluctuation. I mean, those are nuggets that you only get with the coaching in your program. You see,
Right.
because you can go online and learn a lot about options. But if you don't have the insight and the analysis and a strategy to go with it,
Right.
you don't get that value. And so the LOTS group, talk to me about what is the LOTS group.
So I started the company in 2020. It was learning options by trading stocks. That's how I came up with the name, right? And I wanted people to know that it's okay to invest in yourself, right? Find a strategy that works for you, that'll give you an advantage to kind of get a return, right? I got more into the options. I'd still tell people you still could buy shares. Like, when you find shares at a very low value, buy them, right? Don't not do it, right? But options right now, you need to have your doors open now, right? You want to see your money in front of you. I don't want to wait 20 years and say, okay, well, now I got this money. No, I want to see my money now. And so when you look at the politicians do it and they do it, well, why we not involved? Why we haven't been given that information, right? And so the LOTS groups give you this. They give you the opportunity to say, hey, man, look, this is possible. You can't say right now, today, people say we didn't have the knowledge. We didn't have the knowledge before. Now you have the knowledge, right? And so we have to dig into it. And some part is just teaching people how to manage what you have.
Yeah. I have been in your course for a few weeks now, and I'm still in awe. I'm still having moments like this is such amazing information. Um, and I don't want to let you go, right? I want to make sure that I can stay locked in because when you have somebody who is not only moving and shaking and making some progress, but
Mm-hmm.
willing to teach you and show you and allow you to be a part of that, why not be a part of that? We always say that your network is worth the 5 people that's around you. You got to be a part of my
Right.
5. I've already made that decision, right? So
Okay. I
I know
got that.
we former classmates, but I'm locked in.
You locked
I'm
it. I
locked in
like that.
so I can keep learning, keep growing. Because Eddie, what you're doing with teaching stock options is you're changing generations. You're
Absolutely.
helping support generational wealth. You're
Mm-hmm.
helping to support and help people to understand money.
Right.
One of the statements that you say in class is steal money, don't make money. Talk about that.
So we were taught to constantly put money in a savings account, which will never give you a return, right? We were never taught to invest. We were always taught to go work for somebody and not work for yourself, right? And so as you become older, when you listen to people, different people who have, because I believe in being around like-minded people, right? You only good as the people that you're surrounded by. Just piggybacking on what you said, right? So when you start being around people and you knowing that people say they have investments account and they have this and that, and I say, well, what you got in your saving? My investment account is my savings account. Why I put money somewhere where they ain't gonna generate me no money? I need money to roll while I'm sleeping, right? So it's no different than me calling the CVS out. I say, watch my work, right? I called it out, right? I
Yes, you
put it
did.
right there in their face. CVS display. Boom. How much it was the cash out on it when I called it the next? It was less than 24 hours,
Yep.
$1,200, correct? It was
Yep.
right there. I assimilated, I put it right there because I want people to know that some people don't make this in a week, but I made that in less than 24 hours. So you make that in less than 24 hours, you understand the concept, you understand how it works.
That I just yeah, yes, 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 yes. Just that moment right there, right? So I teach nurses how to become entrepreneurs. I teach nurses how to, level up using your experience. You took your experience and you leveling up to help people to take your money and do something different with your money. $500 in the savings, and most people don't even have a high yield savings. It's just sitting
Yep,
there. I had a
absolutely.
savings account that I opened for another particular reason. Didn't have a lot of money in there, right? It's sitting. 2 years later, I went back and checked on that account. The exact same amount of money I put in there is exactly what's in there. Not one penny more, not one penny less. And I know they're using them dollars to make some money off of it. So
Come
still
on.
don't make money moment, right? I could have took them little money and put that on my CVS yesterday and would have had some money, right? So I'm
Come
like,
on now.
so
Come
you
on.
I can take the money that's sitting here and I can be doing something greater with it. Of course, it's the money that I'm willing to take the risk on, the money that I'm willing to be okay with losing if I
Right.
lose. But the psychology behind what you're doing, hey, we're coming up on Christmas, right?
Absolutely.
This is the perfect time that most people stash a little something to the side for Christmas so they can do well
Mm-hmm.
with their family.
Mm-hmm.
You play this thing right with having the right coach and understanding
Mm-hmm.
what to buy. You not only bought your Christmas gifts, you also
Mm-hmm.
bought some stocks, and now the money already preset for the next year.
Hello.
That's the part where I'm just like, I need the monthly membership. Like I'm staying
Absolutely.
right here where the education is, and there are a lot of people that quote unquote can educate. But there's
Right.
something about education that is relatable,
Mm-hmm.
education that is tangible that I can really relate to, like the housing pricing. That
Mm-hmm.
once you said that, I was like, so because I understand that, I get that.
Right.
Um, as you all can tell, I am a student. I am a
Mm-hmm.
fan. I am thrilled about what I'm learning. And I want to learn more. That's just where I'm at. So let's talk a little bit about a real life success stories. You have a story, someone that you've helped to make a millionaire, but you have so many other stories. So share at least two real life stories you have, where you can tell me where the person started from and then where they are now. Bring us into your world.
So I have a guy that I taught. He was he was kind of like he had just got out of jail. He was in jail and he couldn't get a job. But he was working partially. And I say, man, look, I got something you might be interested in. But you gotta be patient with this. And so every time I call him, he say, man, look, I done been on these pyramid schemes before. I don't want to do no pyramid. I said, this ain't no pyramid, man. This ain't no pyramid. He said, okay, I'm gonna come holler at you. So I had been hitting him a few times, calling him saying, say, man, just come see what I got. So he came, sat down and talk with me. He said, man, look, I'm gonna take the class. At this time, my class was a different price at this time. He took the class. And so just recently I texted him, because he's advanced himself, right? He doesn't work. He does this full time. And I told him how proud I was of him. And so he's also teaching his own thing, right? And so I told him how proud I was. And I said, I still got the text message from when you had unemployment money and you took unemployment money and turned it from, if you know what unemployment money in New Orleans is, $200 and something. He turned that from that to $10,000. And so that was more impressive to me than anything, because I said, you know what, you did the work, and that's impressive.
That's just unbelievable. That's
Yep.
that still money moment, right? That's
That's
still money
still my
moment,
moment. And I put the
right?
text, in the chat so people can read them. And I still got students that text me and say, hey man, I'm so happy that I had you in my corner, right? And so it's no different than me and you sitting on a call, and I say, well, are you happy with your account, right? Are you happy at the place that you're at? And you say, I'm so happy. And so that's the moments I like. I like those moments because I want the customer I want the person to be satisfied, right? Because you not only leave me with an account, but you also leave me with a skill set, right? And so now you have something that you can always say, I got money that's rolling right here. So if anything else failed, I still got this. And all I
That,
got to do is press the buttons.
see that? That's that. Let's talk about press the buttons. I
Okay.
love the story that you tell about the press the button with the students. And we talk about market psychology, right? Mindset shifts that's going to be
Right.
required to move from fear of losing to the confidence in trading. So I know
Mm-hmm.
you had one student that was just straight fearful. That mindset was locked. Like, I have my set money. I'm so proud of the money that I've been saving. I got it set
Mm-hmm.
right here.
Yep.
But I know I need to do something different. Talk to me about that story.
So one of the young ladies, she took my class back in like 21, 22, and she was like, Eddie, I'm so scared to press the button, right? So I would typically run into her at Walmart, right? And so she was like, I'm gonna call you. And then she called me up this might have been maybe about 6 months ago. She said, I'm about to retire. I need you to put a plan in place for me. I said, well, jump in the next class. Just get in the class and we're gonna work on. I'm gonna do you, but I'm gonna make I'm gonna put yours as I'm gonna work with you on this, right? So this kind of similar to us, kind of put us in a place where we eat on Fridays and go have lunch together, right? So she put her money in the account. She had 3,500, and her account now is at 11 grand plus right now. And so she's rolling. So I tell her you just have to manage what you have. And so she's been in and out of certain plays, but her account value has been growing.
Wow, that is amazing. So 3,500 to over 11 grand. What timeline is that?
I want to say about a month and a half that, but what I tell people is when you go to somebody's job, you still have to wait for money. In anything you do, you're going to have to wait for the return, but to go from 35 to 11, almost 12 grand with plays still rolling in your portfolio, which could possibly be in the next month and a half, maybe 25 grand. That's a big turnaround.
Wow. So I see that we have Joseph that looks like he came into the studio. Is Joseph one of your students?
Is that Joseph Matthews?
Not sure.
It might be. He's a guy that's in our current class right now. I made him a believer.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add Joseph to the stage. This is gonna be a random moment. Joseph don't know he's about to be a part of this podcast, but I want to get a real live testimony.
Okay.
All right. So it may not split up quite right. Let's see. Joseph.
Yes.
You are now in the podcast along with everybody else. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull all of us onto the stage. It's going to be a little bit of a split moment, so it may not work very well. So I tell you what, Joseph, tell us a little bit about what your experience has been like in the class.
Well, first, Eddie, Mr. Mackey, that's who's talking.
That's Mr. Mad, Mr. Joe. That's my guy, the millionaire guy right there. That's him.
That's the millionaire guy.
Yeah, I hope you shared what I came out of, and I definitely appreciate the insights you brought to me, the skill set that you allowed me to enhance.
I want you to share it, Mr. Joe. You share it because that's what she wants. She wants your experience.
Well, as I shared with Eddie, and look, first, all praise and glory is given to Yahweh. That's just where I'm at. I'm the brother who was trying to make things happen overnight. So in the process, I lost $400,000. And over time, and then getting with Eddie, I was able to improve upon my skill set and then began to understand it's all about building, not trying to make something happen. And so looking at certain kinds of indicators and being able to evaluate certain stocks, I was able to turn that $400,000 loss into 3 to 4 times its value.
Oh my God.
But all praise and glory is given to Yahweh. I'm listening.
You're a multimillionaire now because of Eddie.
Yes, well, he was extremely instrumental in my growth.
Joseph, you gave the biggest testimony that anyone can give. That is the path of a teacher. A teacher always want to know that their student can come out on the other side the way that you have. And I thank you for allowing us to pull you onto the stage really quickly to give that live testimony. May your dollars continue to grow.
Well, Mr. Joe and I, we sit down and grab a bite daily, right? That's just part of what we do. We talk about life, we talk about finances, we talk about everything. And he don't realize this, but he's also been a mentor of mine as well, and very instrumental in my growth. And so, again, you have to put yourself in places of like-minded people. Yeah. So you can look at things in a different lens. You know what I'm saying? So for me, he's not only been a student, but he's been a mentor, a friend, a father figure. He's been all that to me. So we just talk about everything. We talk about life. And so that also helps you grow, in other ways.
That is amazing. Well, Joseph, I'm going to remove you from the stage now. Join us over on Facebook, on Eddie's page, the Lots Group, a NursingInstyle consultant. Thank you once again for being here. All right. Well, you couldn't get no better than that. I mean, that
Right.
was a moment where you got a live person that was able to come in and tell you what's happening, right? That
Right.
is just amazing. That is
Right.
amazing. So, um, the longevity and the freedom. How can options trading complement traditional investing for long-term financial independence?
I guess when you look at it, you have to learn to invest in yourself, right? Something you have to want to do, right? And so people, we again, just going back to what we said before, people have learned to go work for other people, put your money in a savings account. But I always ask the question, why are the politicians taking their money and putting it in the stock market or in options, and we sitting over putting our money in saving money, saying we saving this money for a rainy day, right? Well, when the rainy day gonna come? Because you just said I put money in a savings account and it was the same amount 2 years later, but somebody else could come get a loan and borrow my money. No, that's not the right way. So we were taught the wrong way. Why not put it in money? Because I have learned that you make more money, your money will make more money for you than you working for somebody else.
That part right there, right? That
Yep.
part right there. We got to stop trading our labor hours for dollars. The hours
Yep.
for dollars is not it. It's
That's not
about
it.
taking the money that you have been blessed to give and then multiplying that money. Because when we multiply that money, we now have opportunities to bless others. And I believe that that's why we're supposed to have more to do more, not have more to just, hold to the side and want to go play. What I love about you and your program is you're wanting us to get more so that we have the availability of funds to do more for our family, do more for our community. You're not a flashy person. That's one of the other enjoyments that I have in the class. You really it's about that knowledge, right? It's
Yep.
about seeing that student, that light bulb go off and like, aha, you got it. You
Right.
get it, and I
Right.
think that is what I enjoy seeing as your biggest thrill moment. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like ready for the next play. I don't even know when you sleep because it's like all day, even on a weekend. I'm looking in the group chat and you're like, the market's closed and you still watching the trends and looking at it like, be ready, already preloading. So I am always afraid. I'm in meetings and I'm busy, like, what am I missing? Right? That CBS moment is still a moment for me. Like you said, keep your account locked and loaded. I went and loaded up all my accounts. Like, everything got to be connected so it can go to my
Right.
market account. So I've learned a lot from you, but I also learned, but if you sit just for a moment and don't listen when you put this thing down, you're going to miss out.
Right.
You gave us one of those plays that I'm not going to mention on here because it's too good. You got to be in the class to get that kind of
Right.
information. You listed one of them plays and I didn't move immediately because I was still trying to set up my account. I missed the step.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was so hurt. Oh, I was so hurt. And you was like, it's not too late. Yeah, but y'all are already a couple of thousands ahead of me on that particular play. So I'm
Yes.
telling y'all, if you want to learn about options, you better get with the Lots group. You better figure out who Eddie Fontaine is, because on one of these particular plays that I will not name, because you got to get in the class to get it for yourself, that play would have taken care of some things in my life, right? So
Right.
I'm using my options as part of my retirement plan because I'm well over 50 and already lived a half a century. So I
Right.
am at that level where I got to set it up. I got to set it up for my generational wealth. I got to set it up to make sure that I can have other businesses in play. I got to set up my will like Warren Buffett's will. I'll never forget seeing Warren Buffett's will, the will of what you own, right? You see that will and you see all the companies that you own, because having options and having stocks is having a piece of ownership in these companies. And so it's really about, how is your will looking? That is your ownership will. So
Right.
most people, when we look at their will, it ain't much in the will because it's just a job, right? Don't even
Right.
own home, still paying a mortgage, don't own the vehicle, still paying a car note, got a bunch of credit card. Where is the assets? So I'm
Yep.
looking at my asset will and I'm looking at what Warren Buffett did, and I'm trying to fill up my beautiful will. And because I have you, my will is starting to get nice and colorful and beautiful. And that's from the work that you have done. And so beyond money, how can mastering stock options change someone's life for their freedom, their choices, and their legacy?
Well, it gives you a way to kind of evaluate things in life, right? So I take everything I do and I base it on how I buy options, right? You ask yourself, is this a good purchase, right? Should I buy it? Is it even worth me buying, right? In your younger days, you realize people may, and me personally, I spent a lot of time buying cars, rims, and that didn't bring me a return, right? So it was wasted money, right? You don't know no better. You're young, you're in your 20s, and you're enjoying life for the moment, right? But now we're half a century. So now you got to think about the next 30 years, and you got to think about the kids that's coming behind, plus the grandkids. And so in my class, I like to show people, I showed you that will that Warren Buffett has. I show you that will that Nancy Pelosi has. This is their portfolio, right? And so where's your will? Where's your will? Where's your portfolio at? And so by the purpose, these things can help you long term. You buy options, you buy stocks or whatever, and your kid going to college, right? And boom, one of my experiences, a girl texted me about 2 weeks ago. She said she took the class in 2021. She said, I just want to thank you so much for introducing me. I was able to pay part of my daughter's tuition for this account I set up because I caught this play way down at the bottom, and I had just been sitting on it, and boom, I paid part of her tuition with that money. ULL ain't cheap.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. So as we get ready to wrap up, what is one, if you weren't teaching stock options and trading, what's one surprising career or passion you could see yourself pursuing and why?
Probably would have been personal training, but in all my assets of jobs that I had, I always find myself as an instructor in a lead position or teaching, right? And it seems like it's kind of like being in education has always, the educational piece always comes out. So you find yourself educating people. Once you learn about the product, you find yourself educating others. So it will probably be in some form of either personal training, because I do enjoy working out. That's kind of like my solitude where I go work out at, right? So I spend a lot of time working out. I do that 3-4 times a week. And at one time I was doing it 5 days a week. That's what I was swimming 1 day a week. So it was just my purpose and what I was doing, right? Because I felt like, the older you get, the more healthy you got, because health is wealth as well, right? So that probably be the field. But in every facet, I always find myself being in some type of instructional role, which I enjoy, right? Because I enjoy breaking it down where people be like, man, that's a good way to look at it, right? Man, I never thought about that. So it's like the aha moment where a person is kind of saying, damn, man, you show make me look at it from a different lens, right? And so that's why in class, I make people go and look at the market cap of these businesses, and you understand that we getting the crumbs and not our full value.
Oh, that part right there. So where can people find you?
So they can look me up on the Lodge Group, TheLodgeGroup.com, right? They can find me there. You can find me on TikTok, the same name, or you can find me on Twitter, same name, maybe Option Wiz, but the Lodge Group. Look me up, come in a DM. I got a class that's going now that'll be ending in 2 weeks. And again, I give myself a week break. And then my final class will be in the month of October for the year. And then I start off fresh. For what I try to do is help people get their Christmas monies going. And then boom, we start off fresh in January.
It's going to be a good Christmas for me. Yes, I thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And
I
so
thank you as well.
absolutely. So if you all have enjoyed this podcast, put your comments, put a like, subscribe to Nursing and Style Consulting, go and follow the Lots group, continue to learn and to level up. This was an eye-opening conversation with Eddie Fontaine, Coach Option Wiz 73. I hope you caught the big takeaway here. Stock options is a thing, right? It doesn't have to be intimidating. It's not reserved for people that's on Wall Street as the experts. With the right guidance and the right coach and the right education, this could be a path of financial freedom for you. Eddie just gave you all some great tips. He taught you about some options. He gave you some peekaboo moments. It's about building a confidence. It's about managing the risk. It's about creating long-term wealth that supports the life that you want to live. And if you love this episode today, make sure you like, follow, comment, make sure you educate yourself. Make sure you get some of that knowledge. All right. So thank you all for tuning in to Unlocking Wealth. And until next time, remember, wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom. It's about choices. It's about building a legacy. Now go out and start unlocking yours. Goodbye, everybody.